What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Hoopers Lounge with myself and Alex. And today we will be recapping the All-Star Weekend festivities in the NBA, along with some Twitter nonsense that's been going on in the basketball world. So we'll get into all of that. The NBA returns tonight, and in my opinion, this is when the season starts. Every game now means so much to these playoff teams, play-in teams. And I feel like the intensity is going to ramp up the next couple weeks as teams start to get into that playoff mode because we're only a month and a half until the end of the year, and then it's playoffs. So really excited to see the end of this season. I think teams are really going to put their best foot forward here in the next month or so, and it'll be good to watch. So with that being said, let's recap the All-Star Weekend. And I guess we'll start with what, in my opinion, was the best event of the weekend, and that was actually the All-Star Game itself. I feel like in years past, the three-point contest has been unanimously the best event of the weekend, and this year, I think the All-Star Game finally took that spot back as the main event, so to speak, of the entire weekend. I thought the format was awesome. I really liked three teams all playing kind of a round robin of sorts. I thought that was interesting. I really do enjoy the time limit too. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I'm not a huge fan of the whole target score thing. I like them playing like 12 minutes as opposed to a target score. So I was interested to see, like, just comparing it to the Rising Stars game. I like the 12-minute format better than the target score format for the All Stars, at least. Um, the one thing I didn't like is that these teams had. I feel like the teams have too many players because I want to see everyone play. I didn't like that. Like a guy like Donovan Mitchell, I was really excited to watch with the year he's having, and he sat on the bench for like the entirety of the game because he was playing on LeBron's team, and like I just thought that was interesting to me. And then there's guys on the other U.S. team like Chet Holmgren. Like I'm glad he was sitting on the bench for most of the game. Like I don't need to watch Chet. So, what are your thoughts on the format and the kind of like just because I don't think it's perfect, and I think there's still changes to be made, but I thought this was like a really encouraging sign for the NBA.
I really like the 12-minute quarters, first of all, just because logically, a game is less likely to end in a blowout if there's a shorter amount of time. And if a game's more likely to be closer at the end of it, the players are more likely to compete harder. I just think that's simple logic. You look back at the first year that we had like the players' captains drafts or whatever, that was one of the best All Star games I've ever seen. One of the core memories of that is that whatever team Joel Embiid was on ran a set play for him to get posted up. And my thought in that moment, and what I still think about now, is I have never seen a set play ran in an All Star game, right? And it was because the game was close. The target score at that time was considered a good idea and made the game competitive at the end. And yeah, it added to the intensity of the players and made that All Star game memorable. That 12-minute quarters, we have three games where it was close at the end, three games where it came down to the last possession. So these players, yeah, the players on the floor, they were playing with an added intensity that, yeah, maybe we don't see in an All Star game. So just the shortened quarters making the games leading to closer results, I think, is a huge boost for the NBA. Now, the flip side, in the finals, the one that decided the championship, the game wasn't close at all. That was a frankly boring game to watch. So I'm not ready to sit here and say the All Star game is back, right? Because what happens when we're sitting here a year from now and three of the four games were blowouts, and we're going to be talking about how boring it was, right? So the format I agree with, but I also do think it depends on the player's intensity and how seriously they take it. Luckily, we had two players show out yesterday and a third OG who had, I'm like, one of the best performances of his career. That's saying a lot because he's an absolutely legendary player. Wembenyama and Anthony Edwards set the tone for the intensity for their respective teams. Anthony Edwards' team ended up taking the win with him being named All-Star Game MVP at the end of it. But even after the first game, he shouted out Wemby for the intensity that he brought to the game. The World team went 0-2, but that was not to the fault of Wemby at all. The first game, Scotty Barnes hit a buzzer-beating game winner, and Wemby ran off the court, cursing himself out, tears in his eyes, man. That is incredible. I mean, you're seeing a guy that, regardless if it's the All Star game or Game 7 of the NBA Finals, who wants to win at all costs. And that is truly incredible for the league, incredible for fans. I love watching that. I love watching a player compete all out in a game that, truthfully, yeah, it's pretty much meaningless. It's just for entertainment. Incredible to watch. And if Wembanyama keeps that intensity up for his entire career, yeah, the All-Star game is absolutely back. I hope that we're seeing age 28, 29-year-old Wemby in the midst of his prime, cursing out his teammates in the All-Star game, his All-Star level teammates because they're not trying enough. If that's who Wembanyama becomes, the NBA is in a very, very good place. I talked about Ant. Shout out Ant. He had a great performance. But Kawhi Leonard, man, 31 points in 12 minutes is absolutely absurd. That is like legitimately an all-time performance. 12 minutes is one NBA quarter. Klay Thompson has the record in said NBA quarter with 38. Kawhi would have finished in the top 5 in an All-Star game. Are we for real? Right? That was unbelievable. He was part of the OGs, and that OGs team kind of seemed to lost their legs in the finals. I don't know if they just ran out of gas or whatever, but yeah, Kawhi in his hometown city of LA with the Clippers are hosting the All-Star game, and he showed out for all the Clippers fans that were in attendance.
Yeah, Kawhi was awesome. Wemby was awesome. Ant was awesome. I highlighted all of them. I want to go back to the Wemby discussion real quick because I think it's so funny that he happens to be on the team with Jokic and Luka, and I just want to talk. To those two in particular right now. What are we doing? Like, you're either hurt or you're not. Like, pull the Steph and Giannis route and just sit on the bench and don't play, right? Like, those guys literally started, pulled themselves out, and then never returned. Like, seriously? Like, that was so discouraging for me.
I don't have an issue with that though. Like,
really,
it keeps players on the court who actually want to compete. If Jokic, like, the issue is with player intensity, right? And maybe with Jokic and Doncic, they just don't care about the All-Star game.
That's
don't. Okay. Let's see players who actually will. Yeah, that's all right. I'd rather watch players who actually do than watch Jokic and Doncic half-ass it for the next 2 games.
I agree, but my point is that they never should have started in the first place. Like, they should have just not played at all. Does that make sense? Like, I just don't think that.
Yeah.
It was discouraging to be like, because remember, Luka was questionable, right? So I turned the game on. I'm like, oh shit, Luka's playing. Like, let's go. Let's see what he can do. And then he just half-asses it and sits. Like, that's disappointing for someone like me. And so I feel like I have a right to call him out on that because he was a guy that I didn't think would play. Jokic, I knew Jokic was going to play, and I knew he was not going to try. But I at least thought he only played in 5 of the 24 minutes for Team World. He didn't even play in the second game, I don't think. So that to me was just really disappointing because those are two of my. Luka is not one of my favorite players, but Jokic is one of my favorite players to watch, and to see him, he could have been out there like he robbed us. I thought of this. He robbed us of a Jokic Wemby lob. He robbed us of that on All-Star night. The All-Star game is all about moments. And could you imagine if Jokic was like in the post and he threw like an over-the-head alley-oop to Wemby from behind? Like, All-Star games are like that. Like, I remember when Steph threw a lob to Giannis when he bounced it off the ground. People remember that play forever. Or when LeBron left for Cleveland but was able to reunite with D-Wade in the All-Star game and they threw lobs to each other like old times. Like, all those things are so cool for us fans. And I think Jokic robbed us of a moment with Wemby for sure because those two are just so different than their peers. So that's just my gripe on them is if you don't want to play in the All-Star game, that's fine. Sit on the bench. And Giannis and Steph are different because they were hurt. But Luka could have easily said, yeah, I'm hurt. I don't want to play. And I'll sit in street clothes on the bench next to Giannis. He easily could have done that. And I feel like I just would have got a more enjoyable experience out of Luka Doncic individually. So that was just kind of my gripe. But how this ties into Wemby is with Wemby, being so visibly frustrated, like you mentioned, and cussing at his teammates. I wonder if he thinks less of them because they don't try at all times. Like, what do you think his mentality is towards those players, like, from a respect perspective of, like, hey, I know Jokic is the best player in the world, but, like, he doesn't really give a damn about, every game in the regular season. He doesn't give a damn about the All-Star game. He doesn't really show the most emotion when he wins, awards at the end of the year. What Do you think Wemby is someone that would like hold that against them, or do you think that's kind of just a heat of the moment type of thing?
I could see it go either way because it takes a very certain mentality. There are very few players in the NBA that have had a mentality like Wemby's to win at all costs, where each and every individual game is important. That is the Michael Jordans of the world. That is the Kobe Bryants of the world. That is a very, very rare breed of player who can legitimately put his each and all into every individual game he plays, and that is a big reason of what makes Wemby a potential all-time great. Of course, yeah, we talk about all the time about his physical skill set, and his athleticism, but it's his mentality, man. He has the mentality of an all-time great as a 21-year-old. It is that it is incredible to watch. But I don't. But like I said, because of how rare it is, I don't think we can necessarily knock players for not having that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and like say like Giannis and Steph and LeBron aren't all-time greats because maybe they didn't care about each and every single regular season game. Right, Steph in the KD era Warriors, they should have been the best regular season team of all time. But they didn't really care. They coasted through because they could, and it was easy for them. Um, and LeBron and Giannis have very documented like they sit out oftentimes when the team is not in contention for championships. Which again, no problem. Save your body for maybe next year when your team is better. I don't have a problem with that. But they don't have them. They don't have that MJ, Kobe, and now I think maybe we can say maybe it's too soon to say, but I think he's starting to get into Wemby. Those three mentalities, those are very rare mentalities, and I'm not going to knock anybody for not having that because it's it's incredible to see somebody have it. It's not something I expect anybody to have.
Yeah, I'm not knocking them either. I was just curious to see if you think Wemby personally like knocks them for it, and if that leads to maybe a sense of underestimation in the playoffs. Like I think of a guy like Jokic, who he would be matched up with Jokic in a 7-game series, and I just wonder if Wemby, because he is, actually I don't want to say this, Jokic in the playoffs is one of the best competitors I think we've ever seen. Just from a competitive level, like he competes at the highest level when it matters. So, but from Wemby's perspective, do you think Wemby playing against Jokic in the regular season and playing with him in the All-Star game and seeing him in practice do all this dumb stuff with Luka only to play 5 minutes, does that lead to like some sort of underestimation later in the season to where like I just don't know because Wemby's so young, like I just don't understand if like, and I'm not saying like this
no,
is
and even if
like I'm not saying this is Jokic doing it on purpose, but
young.
yeah, I know, but like it's human nature to think yourself
exactly,
as
yeah.
like Wemby. I have no doubt in my mind that Wemby thinks he's a better competitor than Jokic and Luka after what I witnessed on Sunday night. Right? Like I think Wemby just understands that his work, he thinks his work ethic is better. Maybe he thinks his determination to win at all costs, like you said, is higher than those guys. And I'm just wondering, like, if you match up with Denver in the second round of the playoffs, right? And Wemby underestimates Jokic, right? Like maybe the Spurs win game 1, and he's like, "Oh, this is easy. Jokic isn't trying, yada yada yada." I just don't know how that's going to play out, and I hope Wemby does not hold it against these guys because when it really matters, right? Like you mentioned Kobe and MJ, like we know their mentalities because of how they played for 82 games and in the playoffs. And I hope Wemby doesn't hold it. He doesn't underestimate these guys because of how they're playing in an exhibition game.
But also, to your point, it is human nature, right? You hear Nikola Jokic, beater of all worlds. He's Thanos in the NBA. He'll drop a 30-point triple-double on you without even trying. And then, like you said, you get an up-and-close look at him. He's joking around. He's not taking anything seriously. He plays 5 minutes and pulls himself out. Human nature is just going to make you, like, maybe take it a little less seriously than you would have. He's not this world beater anymore in your eyes. I do see that perspective. And for somebody like Wemby, who does compete at an extremely high level every night, yeah, maybe that perspective is exemplified. It's exponentially more there than it is in, like, guys like us,
Yeah.
So that's definitely a perspective I could see. But also, the playoffs is a learning experience, right? I don't expect Wemby to win a ring this year. Hell, I don't expect Wemby to win a ring next year. You will be hard-pressed to find a player outside of Magic Johnson who won without first experiencing failure. And I think it's going to be very applicable to Wemby as well. It's been applicable to every all-time great in the NBA. You don't win without failing. And whether or not Wemby does underestimate Jokic, I think Jokic is going to have the upper hand on him in this playoffs. Jokic has the experience. He's won before. He knows what it takes. And Wemby just doesn't have the experience. Not a knock on him. I'm excited to see him in the playoffs. I think the Spurs are very capable of at least winning a series, maybe winning 2 series. Winning it all, that's a lot to ask for somebody to do in their first playoffs, even with a team led by somebody with the mentality and talent of Wemby. I don't think Jokic is necessarily worried about Wemby as much as he is about Oklahoma City. I think that is still the primary concern for everybody in the West. Beating Oklahoma City, finding a way to beat this team who won last year and initially this season looked like an absolute juggernaut. They've kind of fallen back down to earth, but again, it's the regular season. Maybe they're just coasting, and when the playoffs come, they're going to ramp back up the intensity and look like world beaters once again. So I think that's what the league has got to figure out. I think the Wemby problem is still a couple years down the road. As high as I've been on him all year, and as high as I've been on the Spurs, they're not going to compete this year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I hear what you're saying, right? It is human nature. And I think this individual conversation pertains more to Jokic than Luka because Wemby would, in theory, be matched up with Jokic for a series. I think it's totally different with Luka. But, yeah, it's part of the psychology of professional athletes and sports is it's very easy to overestimate guys and kind of, be afraid of them, and it's also very easy to underestimate guys, and we've seen that time and time again in every sport. And that was the one thing, like when you mentioned him cussing out his teammates, and I remember vividly, he was either cussing at himself or he was cussing at someone else. I just think to myself, like, what does he really think of his peers in a game situation like the All-Star game? It's just interesting to think about and kind of discuss. So I'll move off that topic, and just a couple of format things that I wanted to run by you. One, because I didn't like the bench aspect, like I wanted to see all the guys play. 4 teams of 5 guys, that would be 20 All-Stars, and then maybe you have 1 sub for team to get to the number 24, right? So 4 teams of 6. Maybe maybe that would help, but then you just add more games into the round robin, so I don't really know how that would work. And then the other thing, and this was driven strictly by the end of the Rising Stars game, which I know refs got to call fouls, man, but we can't let an All-Star game end on a free throw. We just can't do it. It just ruins it's just so anticlimactic. That's all. And I don't know how you would fix that because, again, fouls are a part of the game and free throws are also a part of the game. So I don't want to remove that aspect. But I just thought, what if you just added win by 2? As a scenario, because in that Edgecombe situation, I think he was down 1 and he had 2 free throws to win by 1. I think was the scenario. And if in that case, if it was win by 2, he could still make those free throws and the game would continue. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I just thought it was a great game that ended on a free throw. I was like, really? Like that was a little disappointing.
Truthfully, I didn't watch the Rising Stars. I did see the highlights of the game, though, and I know that VJ Edgecombe had an absolute day. Crowned my Rookie of the Year if Cooper Flagg didn't exist, unfortunately. Besides the point, my solution to that, and I want to hear what you think of this. When a team has a chance to, I think games like that with the target score should end on a game-winning bucket.
Agreed.
So when a team has a chance, when a team is within 2 or 3 points and they have a chance, or 1 point, I guess in this case, and has a chance at the free throw line, what if they took reduced points from the other team? What if they took away a point? Instead of adding a point to theirs, you take away a point from the other team. So therefore, you still have to win on a basket, and the free throws still matter, right? The point difference is still going to come into play. But that way, it allows the game winner to be made on a made basket rather than a free throw. I don't know how that would work on the stat sheet or whatever. I don't know how that would be logged, but I think that would be a fix to the solution. And also, to your 4 team of 6 players, that first of all, they're not going to want to do that because of the injury risk. That's telling them they're going to have to play at least probably 20 minutes a night, right? And you have guys like Jokic and Luka who want to play 5 minutes a night. right? So I don't know if that'll work. And but if that would theoretically, how would you divide those 4 teams? Where would you pull like each 6 players from? Would you have another player draft again, or how would that work?
I don't know. I think similarly I think you just remove the Rising Stars game, or take some of the Rising Stars and put all right, so you have 20 All-Stars, right? And then the sixth guy on each bench is a Rising Star. I guess you could do that.
I like that.
Like you could put Flag, Knipple, Edgecombe, and somebody else on the fourth team, right? And Derek Queen or whoever, whoever you want, and that'll be your bench player, and then you have a team of all-stars starting. Like maybe you do something like that. That would obviously reduce the Rising Stars game, but those guys are so good. They're competing with those guys on a nightly basis anyway. Like VJ Edgecombe is guarding the other team's best guard on a nightly basis anyway, right? Like Con Knipple is drawing so much attention from the opposing defense every night anyway. He's a rising star because he's a rookie, but he's on the level of those guys almost already. So I think that's an idea that maybe you could do that. I mean,
I don't know about same level, but I see your point. I don't know if they're not all-star level players yet, but I do see your point. They're approaching it, and likely in their careers they will get there.
All right, every team that plays the Charlotte Hornets game plans for Con Knipple. I think that's true. They also game plan for other players, but you can't leave Knipple open. He's a deadly game plan. I would argue he's one of the biggest just because of his shoot. I mean, he's already one of the best shooters in the league. So I would say he's on the level of some of these other guys. Absolutely. Yeah. Same with Cooper Flag. Like I really do think that.
If the criteria for being an all-star is just being one of the best shooters in the league, why have we never seen Duncan Robinson in the game? Right?
Well, because you still have to play defense. Like Klay Thompson is one of the best examples of that. He was a multiple-time All-Star.
A good defender right now. He has the tools to be a good defender.
No, and that's why he wasn't an All-Star. I'm just saying you could put the Rising Stars on the team because they compete with them on a nightly basis. Like, again, it's not like you're putting Mac McClung on the bench, right? You're not putting... I don't even know. Like, you could put Dylan Harper on the bench. He's great. He's a great player.
Yeah, I just think it would be hard to convince 5 All-Stars. All of them would be playing 20+ minutes.
I know.
If one of them doesn't want to, the Rising Star would be, and that's a tough sell.
But I agree. But also, I think there's obviously another side to that coin of guys like Mitchell and De'Aaron Fox and Chet Holmgren that didn't get to play. Like, don't you want to showcase your talent in a best versus best situation? Like, that's just kind of my opinion on that. Because you could have got, you just could have got more out of some of these guys. But again, that was the format. So I liked the format. I'm just saying 4 teams I think would get more guys playing time. But like you said, not everybody wants playing time in the All-Star game, which is a whole different problem. It's a whole different situation. And then I like your idea.
Just play the guys that want to play. I think that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, and maybe that's the route they have to go. I like your idea of taking points away. However, I feel like that would lead to some intentional fouls. If let's say you're up 1, right, in the same situation of the Edgecombe thing, you intentionally foul. He makes both free throws. You're now down 1. You can still go back the next possession, hit a 3, and win the game. Does that make sense? So, I feel like...
Yes. But don't let up a 3. You know? As end of
yeah,
defense.
okay. I guess. I guess. I don't know if I'd rather the game end on a free throw or watch people just trade intentional fouls so that the other team can't win. I don't know which one is worse.
Yeah, it doesn't sound particularly entertaining.
That's only my only gripe to your situation is that and obviously every game ends differently, so that would not be it's not a one size fits all type of solution. Because every game is different.
I might have just cooked with something. Hold on a second. Tanking. How do we fix tanking? It's been a question the NBA has been trying to solve for years.
Holy tangent.
I think I just figured it out.
Oh boy.
Yo, okay, listen to me. Okay, when a team is eliminated from playoff contention, Okay? Their wins and losses don't matter anymore. Instead, they revert to a hockey score. They get 3 points for a win, we'll say 1 point for an overtime loss, 0 points for a loss. And then the team with the most points at the end of the year gets the number one pick. If you are one of the worst teams in the NBA, you will be mathematically eliminated before every other team. Therefore, giving you more chances in the end part of the season to win games, to accumulate points, to get that number one overall pick. If you are the 10th best team in the league, you're not going to be eliminated from playoff contention until later. So yeah, you'll have a chance. You won't have as long of a chance, and maybe you won't be able to accumulate the necessary points to catch up to the lower teams if everybody is competing. Thoughts? We were talking just on the subject of fixing things. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I can't find any flaws right now. You kind of just said that really fast, and I was trying to process what you were saying as you were saying it. I don't hate it. However,
I'm trying to figure out something. I just had the idea. I'm trying to figure out something wrong with it right now.
I do feel like a team like there's always one team that I feel like is good, but they are just tanking for one season. And like a team like Indiana this year, I feel like would run away with that competition because they're bad enough to get eliminated from playoffs early, but they have the roster to win games if they were trying. Like,
hold on. So you think that even without Tyrese Halliburton, that Indiana, they could go from the worst team in the league pre-All-Star break to one of the more competitive ones post-All-Star break?
Compared to like
With
Washington and Sacramento, yes, I think so. I think they'd have a better chance than those teams. Yeah, I think.
Agreed. But then you take let's take a middle of the pack lottery team. Let's take Milwaukee. What if they are eliminated from postseason contention come March? And then you have Giannis, who is still competing up until the end of April because hey, his team could get the number one overall pick. Right?
I know it is exciting.
That makes Indiana, that makes Washington, that makes Brooklyn. All of them have to win games because these middle of the pack teams that are theoretically better than them will eventually catch up if they're not winning.
Yeah, again, like I said, there's not many flaws. I hear what you're saying. I also think there's an influence of if this were real and Milwaukee was in that situation, is there part of them that thinks let's shut Giannis down for next year? Because if he is trying his ass off for the number one pick, what happens if he gets hurt in mid-April in the 78th game because he's playing 38, 40 minutes a night to try and get you the number one pick? So I also think, I don't know if star players like that would be playing for all that, especially a guy like Giannis he is the centerpiece of your organization. Like, you need Giannis next year more than you need the number one pick, right? In theory.
Yeah, you can't have your cake, you need it too, though. The issue we've been talking about is resting players unnecessarily and teams tanking as a result. Well, this would fix that. This would provide teams incentive to not rest their players, to play their star players as much as they can throughout the season. But now we're worried about player health, right? It's you can't have one without having the other. If we're going to be worried about player health and we're going to prioritize that, tanking is going to be a thing. Player safety is going to be a thing. If your team isn't in contention, yeah, bench your superstar for next season. That's a smart thing to do. But that comes the caveat, you're not going to see the superstars. That's pretty shitty as well. My idea would let you see the superstars year-round. The caveat, they're more likely to get hurt. Again, pretty shitty. You can't. It's going to become one or the other. You can't. Both of these things cannot simultaneously happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I still think in your situation, a team like Milwaukee that already has their franchise superstar would not prioritize his health over the number one pick, or would prioritize his health over the number one pick, or a chance at a better pick, if that makes sense. I think teams like Washington and Sacramento, who don't have that, absolutely they would be trying to win in your situation, and I think that would solve that. Utah would definitely try because they don't have a Giannis, right? They don't, and Giannis is a rare case. But like, if the Warriors were in the Bucks situation, I think they would shut Steph down for next year as opposed to trying to get the 1 seed. Or if you took another team with only one superstar, if that makes sense. Because I think Giannis and the 5th pick is like more valuable than just the number 1 pick if Giannis were to wear him down. If you were to wear him down too much. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. And again, Milwaukee is a very specific case, but that was the example you used, so.
And again, it's just a tough trade-off because we want to see these superstars play all year, but now we're like also concerned about their health going into next year. We don't want to wear a player down. It's like one isn't going to come without the other.
Yeah, well,
I guess the ultimate dilemma.
But those are two different perspectives, because the perspective of you want to see the superstars all year is the fans' perspective, and the perspective of player health is from an organizational perspective. Me as a fan, yeah, I want Giannis to play. Hell yeah. I don't care if he gets hurt in game 82 because he's trying his ass off. Like, as a fan, I want to see him play, right? But from a GM perspective and a head coach perspective, I also understand, like, if I were the Bucks GM, I'd be like, right now we currently sit with the 6th pick, and it's game 82. Am I going to play Giannis 40 minutes a night so we can jump Indiana and get the 5th pick? No, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's just how my brain is. I'm looking at it from a GM and a coach perspective as opposed to a fan's perspective. And I can understand both sides of it.
It makes sense. I guess it depends on the risk reward because,
yes.
I mean, yeah, Giannis and Steph are special cases, but what about a team like the Orlando Magic who are in the midst of kind of a disappointing year, I think it's safe to say. They're not going to be eliminated from playoff contention until late March or early April, but what if theoretically they get eliminated and go on a 10-game win streak to end the year, finish the year with 30 points, get the number 1 overall pick, right? They had incentive to try with Paolo Banchero once they're eliminated from... a team like that would be willing to sacrifice their stars for talent of Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, right? And a generation... a Giannis and Steph are a different story. A Banchero, then a Jalen Johnson, then LaMelo Ball, then, I don't know, a Denny Avdia. Players like those, I think a team would be willing to play all year, and that's not something they're willing to do right now. And I think that is an improvement in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, anything's probably an improvement. Are you using Orlando as just a random example, or do you really think they're going to be eliminated in early March?
No, they're not going to be. I was just doing okay. Middle of the pack teams that might fall off. I was going
to say because I'm pretty sure they're like top 7 in the East. Like, I don't think they're anywhere close to not making the play.
They'll probably make the playoffs. I was just thinking of trying to think of play-in teams.
I was just making sure. All right.
This is something we can think about a lot more. I just had this thought in my head, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
Great.
We'll get back to the All-Star game.
Yeah, great thought.
We'll get back to the All-Star game because we still have the 3-point contest and slam dunk contest to talk about. And Max, I know you said you had a little bit of a rant about the dunk contest. I have a few thoughts to say as well about it, but I'd love to hear what you have in store for us.
All right, so this is just a really simple concept, right? The NBA is supposed to be the highest level of basketball, right? So in theory, you have the best athletes in the league that can also play basketball at a high level. You have the best athletes with the best basketball skill. You combine those, and boom, you have the NBA. Why am I watching the dunk contest on Saturday night and I'm thinking to myself that they need tryouts for the dunk contest? Like, why is Jackson Hayes doing a one-handed dunk from inside the free throw line in the dunk contest? Why? Like, do we need to try out guys just to put them on TV and make the dunk contest? Like, all right, here's what you need to do. You need to be able to at least do a two-hand reverse dunk, and you make the dunk contest. If you can't do that, nope, next. It's like America's Got Talent out there, dude. Like, it's terrible. Like, they just let anyone on the dunk contest now. It's awful. So that's my rant, is that the dunk contest may need tryouts now, which at the highest level on All-Star Weekend for the NBA, you should not need a tryout. So that's my rant about that. And Jackson Hayes, this is nothing personal, bro, but you had... I don't know how long to prepare for the dunk contest, and that was the best thing you had. Like, come on, bro. Are you kidding me? Like, no freaking way. That was what you just rolled out with to start the dunk contest. And this year, it was
the same guy. 2 weeks ago, we saw him do an East Bay dunk, middle of the game.
Bro, like, Zach LaVine did a between-the-legs dunk from the free throw line. And you're out here 3 feet in front of the free throw line doing a normal one-handed dunk, bro. Like, oh my God, it's so bad. It's borderline unwatchable. So that's my rant. Now to the actual product. I feel bad for Carter Bryant personally because I thought he had the best dunks, and unfortunately he just crumbled in the final. Because I thought his dunks were actually creative and he was jumping like really high, so I kind of enjoyed watching him dunk. And then in the final he failed too many times and ran out of time. Also a time limit for these guys. What are we doing? Can we just give him 3 attempts with no time limit? Like, he totally would have tried something different if he didn't have 2.5 seconds left on the clock, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe just extend the time limit because I know you have TV rights and you need to keep it within a certain time frame. I get that, but he did 2 attempts, and then his third attempt he had like 3 seconds left, so he just rushed and did like a normal dunk, which essentially eliminated himself from the competition. Like, I would have liked to see him try he tried a between the legs off the backboard, like something sick, and we only got to see it twice because he ran out of time. I thought, to me, that was dumb too. So I felt bad for him. So that's my thoughts on the dunk contest. Jackson Hayes, that was just, I laughed. Like, I just laughed at the TV. I was like, you're shitting me, right? Like, 2 weeks to prepare and you just did that? Like, I could do that if the rim was 9 feet. If the rim was 9 feet, I could do what he just did. No shit. I could do that. Like, are you kidding me? I'm 23. I struggle to keep a normal gym schedule. And I could do what you just did. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what? It was so bad, Alex. It was so bad. I want to get your thoughts, so I'm not taking too much of our time. But
first of all-time rant on your end. That's what we love to hear on the podcast. But all-time bad might have been underselling it a bit because I think it's safe to say this is the worst of all time. And considering how bad the dunk contest has been in recent years, that is saying a lot. We saw Jace Richardson nearly suffer a career-ending injury because he tried to dunk in the side of the backboard rather than the actual net. Like, I spent the dunk contest laughing rather than in awe of the athletes. Like, that was like, and he just jumps up and just walks off. I mean, he doesn't try it again. He just jumps up, walks up, like, all right, I lost. Like, oh my God. This is a joke. I mean, Jason Richardson, former dunk contest champion, had to have been in physical pain watching his son fall on his ass after that. That was embarrassing. And then last but not least, the actual winner, Keyshawn Johnson of the Miami Heat. Has he played in a regular season game this year? Great question. I could not tell you. But he won the dunk contest. He didn't do anything great. He didn't even have a 50 dunk. He just danced after every single dunk, and I guess the judges like that. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, America's Got Talent. Like we said, we're already dancing over dunks. What are we doing?
Yes. The worst part. Oh my God. The other thing for me is they had poor Vince Carter was on the court trying to hype these guys up for the event. Like, he was on the commentary, but he was actually on the court. He wasn't sitting on the booth, right? And all these guys are going up to Vince Carter, like, trying to get Vince hype and trying to impress him, and then they go out and do that bullshit. Like, it's just so bad. It's so bad.
Poor Vince Carter, the greatest dunker to ever live, who planned out probably the greatest dunk contest competitor ever. And that's what he has to bear witness to. He should have, whatever he got paid, double it. That's what he deserves.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the...
I should have got paid for watching that.
Oh, it's terrible. It's so bad. Moving on to the three-point contest, though. Awesome. I mean, the three-point contest is just simplicity, yet perfection and entertainment at its finest. Like, it is not complicated. It is not difficult to understand, right? It's an easy, quick, competitive tournament style three-point contest. It's great. I love the three-point contest every year. I love with the expansion of guys' range. I love they add like the Mountain Dew ball or whatever they call it. Like, that did not used to be a thing.
Ball, agreed.
That's a great addition. But it's just simple. Like 5 racks, 5 shots. You get 1 money ball rack. Make the most shots and you win. And there you have X amount of time. Like, it's so simple, and yet it works every time. And I implore the NBA to do more like simple things like this. So I loved the NBA. Con Knipple was awesome. Dame hasn't missed a step. He's awesome. But the most important thing I wanted to take away from this is actually next year's three-point contest. I don't know if you're aware, but my God, Stephen Curry was on the panel either before or after the three-point contest. And he discussed the idea of doing a all-star three-point contest, whereas the greatest shooters of all time get together for a three-point contest. And I think if you were to do this, I think you have to hit up Ray Allen and Reggie Miller to get them in next year's three-point contest.
Wow, I didn't see historical players. I didn't see this aspect of it.
I didn't see it either. No. This is my opinion. I'm saying if I'm if I'm Steph Curry, he mentioned Clay, Dame, and Devin Booker as the three guys that would kind of lead as the four, Steph and those three to lead it. I'm saying that if you really want this to be a greatest shooters of all time thing, I would get James Harden would have to be in there, and for me, Ray Allen and Reggie Miller would have to be in there. Because you look at the three-point leaders of all time, and those guys that's the top four right there. So I feel like those guys would have to be in it if you're advertising it as a three-point, like all-star three-point.
Here's a hot take. Ray Allen and Reggie Miller would not be top 10 shooters in the league today. Their three-point numbers, yes, they're outstanding for their time. They changed the game of how it is, right? They were the initial sharpshooters, right? But you put them in today's league where every single player can shoot threes. 20 years from now, Ray Allen and Reggie Miller's three-point totals will not be in the top 10. They will be passed by
that's probably true,
so many players. I mean,
but if they played in
eras that matter,
if they played in today's game, they would also get more attempts. So
okay, agreed. But counter argument, they're 40 and 50 years old, right? I'm not trying to see 40 and 50-year-old Ray Allen and Reggie Miller when I could see actual NBA shooters who could provide a competition to Steph and Dame instead. That's my point. If we could get prime Ray Allen and prime Reggie Miller, yes, hell yeah, I would love to see that. And hell, throw in prime Larry Bird while we're at it, right? But unfortunately, we can't. So, yeah, I would rather see 8 active NBA players who are all in the midst of their careers and elite shooters than bring in 40-year-old Ray Allen and Reggie Miller, if that makes sense.
Interesting. I think a retired Ray Allen would have better competition to Steph and Dame than, say, like a Norman Powell, who was in this year's three-point contest, or a Bradley Beal, who's been in multiple three-point contests and has sucked every year. Like, I think Ray Allen and Reggie Miller, I think, can hold their own. And I think one of them would probably end up in the final. Do you know the crowd support that would be behind? Do you know the crowd support that would be behind them? Like, adrenaline is a real thing. And those guys, I mean, they can still shoot. Like, I have no doubt. They're not like 70 years old. These guys are 40 and 50. Like you said, like, I'm sure they can still shoot a basketball from NBA range at a high level, and I think the crowd would absolutely love to see that.
Okay. Do you know how many NBA players I hear about that? Like, when they retire from the game of basketball, they will go the rest of their lives straight up without touching a basketball. It just, when they retire from the sport of basketball, at least the play aspect of it is in their path. Like, Reggie Miller still works as a color commentator. He's still very active in the game of basketball. But I would not be surprised to hear that Reggie Miller has gone years without even touching a basketball. Same with Ray Allen. It's just, when you play a game for 30, 40 years of your life, it becomes a pass. They played basketball as a job for 20 years. They retired. You're done with your job. There are so many stories like that. And unless if they have been active and still playing in recent years, then yeah, maybe they could compete. But I don't expect Reggie Miller to come in 5 years removed from touching a basketball and get in the finals of the three-point contest. Same thing with Ray Allen.
Do you know if either one of them?
More research.
Do you know if either one of them has kids that play basketball? Because I know.
Good question, actually. I'm very curious. Very curious.
Because I know, like. I'm thinking of LeBron. When LeBron retires, he's going to touch a basketball because his kids play basketball, right? And he's probably going to coach basketball because of how great he is, which means you're going to get shots up in practice, right? You're going to be touching a basketball 7 days a week, right? For some of these guys.
That's a good point.
So I don't know if Ray Allen or Reggie Miller even have kids. I really don't know. But if they have kids,
not either.
I would guess that if they're of the age, they would have at least tried to play basketball. I mean, there's no way they didn't. Their dads were two of the greatest shooters of all time in the NBA. So while Alex was looking that up, that was just my thought. When I heard Steph say we're doing a sort of GOAT 3-point contest, I thought to myself, like, how can you not have Ray Allen and Reggie Miller? At least invite them, right? If they don't want to do it, if they are like, you know what, I don't think I can compete, blah, 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 whatever, that's great. If the commissioner steps in and he says, you know what, Steph, we're going to keep this to current players only, all right, whatever. But I think you at least need to have that discussion and at least invite them to the All-Star game. Maybe you get a celeb rack, right? Maybe for each round, Reggie Miller and Ray Allen just shoot one rack for Steph Curry, right? Like Steph shoots the first 4 and then Ray Allen shoots the 5th rack, and that's Steph Curry's score or something. Like I feel like they have to be part of the event somehow,
I
right?
like that.
Like if we really sit here, which I am not part of this group, all right, this is the Alex Perez group. If we sit here and say that they cannot compete and we will not let them try to compete against the greatest shooters in the league today, that is not me. That is what Alex is believing. Then I still feel like if you cannot call this the greatest shooting 3-point contest of all time and not involve them, maybe they're the ones that shoot the starry Mountain Dew ball or something. Like, I don't know. Give them something.
I like the idea that they should be involved in some capacity, but we should not be taking away opportunities from the actual elite players in the league who are elite shooters.
And here's
actually
and I feel like they not to the same extent because this guy still plays, but what's the difference between taking an opportunity away from a guy that's played all year for Dame and not doing it next year for a guy like Reggie and Ray Allen? I know Reggie and Ray Allen are retired, right? But Dame's played the same amount of games this year as Reggie and Ray did, right? So,
yeah,
so what's the difference? That's kind of what I'm debating about.
I mean, I guess the difference is that one's retired, one's active. But yeah, to your point, they have played the same number of games, right? How active are both of them really? That's a good point. I do think Dame should have been in. I made the argument last episode. I still think that should be the case.
I mean, he won the thing for crying out loud. So, I mean, like, there's no debate. I mean, I was kind of skeptical of it at first, but he won the thing. So, props to him. But I
guess you're right. With that being said, it would make sense to include Reggie and Ray on
if
the criteria.
If they sit here and say we're trying to give players, like active players, opportunities, you know, to showcase their talents to the world and all that, you know, media trained answers that they give, but then they put Dame in the contest for a pure popularity stunt and to get more eyes on the event, like, come on, that's like. It's the same situation, just with two different examples, in my opinion.
Not exactly the same. I mean, Ray and Reggie both had their time. They both had their moment of glory. Dame is in the moment of glory. He's still in his career. Those are different circumstances.
But in theory, he just put him in next year when he's healthy and playing. Again, I think we can both agree that they put Dame in this year to get more eyes on the 3-point contest. I think that's definitely
absolutely
like they didn't.
And with that logic, if that's the goal, they should put Allen and Miller in it next year.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like they didn't put Dame in the 3-point contest because he's having a great shooting season. Okay, we all know that he's not having a great shooting season because he's played 0 games. Okay. They put him in because of his name value and because he's a fan favorite and people will pay to watch him shoot deep threes. All right, that's just a fact. And I think people would do the same for Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. And if next year is being advertised as not your normal 3-point contest, I would invite them to be a part of it. Absolutely. I would invite them.
That's a good take. I'll hear you out on that. I don't agree, but I mean, as a fan, I would love to see it. It would be entertaining. I think I would just rather. I just don't think it would be very competitive with those two in. Talking about, just want to say one more thing about this year's 3-point contest. Dame did win, but wow, Devin Booker choked. Devin Booker
Yeah.
had that in the bag.
Yeah.
Devin Booker he had 25. He needed 1 to win. He had 3 to go from the corner, and he missed the last 3. He makes one of them, he wins, and he could not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just another one of my takeaways. Dame won, but Devin Booker had it in the bag, man. He shot lights out the entire round, except for the last rack that actually mattered.
Yeah, that was tough. I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot to. But yes, Devin had it in the bag, and Khan had a great performance as well. I wanted to shout him out if I didn't already. Yeah, so that's kind of our thoughts on the All-Star Weekend. I honestly think it's one of the better All-Star Weekends in the last couple years because of how good the All-Star Game was. Just that carried the weekend for me. Although the dunk contest is just... Like, the Celebrity All-Star Game is getting to a point where I'd rather watch that than the dunk contest. You know how sad that is? Like, that is just so bad.
First,
like,
Taco, legendary performance in the celeb game. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Taco, bring him back to the NBA,
but
man.
the
monster performance.
The Celebrity All-Star Game is, in my opinion, like, boring, and I don't enjoy it most years. But it's getting to a point where I enjoyed it more this year than the dunk contest. That is insanely sad to say out loud. And because it was not too long ago that, I mean, hell, Mac McClung has saved the dunk contest the last 3 years. He's had no competition, but at least when you watch him dunk, you're like, holy shit, that was awesome. Right? Like, he at least put on a show. He didn't have any competition, but at least he put on a show. I mean, nobody.
I remember last year, some people were saying Stephon Castle got snubbed to give Mac McClung that 3 years in a row. He had some comp, but yeah, to your point, Mac McClung was like the entertainment. The other 3 were brought on as more accessories to the Mac McClung show.
Yeah, and this year, it's bad. And I saw something. Jalen Duren was supposed to be in the dunk contest, and then he got replaced by Jackson Hayes. Is that because he got suspended, or because Duren played in the All-Star game? So I thought to myself, like, all right, if he's suspended, I get that. But then he played in the All-Star game. So I was confused as to why he was replaced in the dunk contest. Did he just, like, back out or something?
I didn't see anything of that, honestly. That's a good question. I have a hypothetical solution for you about the All-Star game. I want to know what you think about this. What do you think about getting professional dunkers instead of NBA players? Like the best dunkers in the world. So, like, I don't really know a lot of professional dunkers. The one I can think of is Jordan Kilgannon. But what if you were to get like professional dunkers versus best NBA dunkers? You were to get Mac McClung versus Jordan Kilgannon, and then 2 other guys from each of those. Like maybe providing some team aspect to it might make guys be willing to try harder. Maybe getting the best names in dunking rather than the best names in basketball. You know, we'll be back to seeing dunks that we've never seen before. We'll be back to the exciting dunks. I think that's, you know, even if the name value isn't there, the dunk value will be. What are your thoughts on that?
I really do like that idea. I think a team of 1 NBA, 1 professional dunker would be really cool. And I think the idea of the NBA players drafting professional dunkers to their team would be really interesting. Another caveat to that, because we are in the give guys a chance era of the NBA, apparently, I think that would take away chances from guys that want to be in the dunk contest. But again, it's like the All-Star game. Who really wants to be in it at this point? How about you have those guys as the judges? Because that's another rant I have. I talked about Jackson Hayes' dunk. He got a 47 for that dunk. Are we serious? Like, so I would rather, if you're not gonna let the professional dunkers dunk, put them on the booth instead of Dwight Howard and whoever else they got out there that's giving out these asinine scores. That's another idea. But yeah, I like the idea of adding professional dunkers in. I like the idea that NBA players are the ones competing on NBA All-Star Weekend. However, we're to the point where that's not a terrible idea. Like, we're to a point where that's not an awful idea, and if you can't get them as dunkers, I would 100% ask them to be judges for the dunk contest. 100% I would. Because that would be another great idea, I think. Yeah, I don't hate that.
Yeah, I like the idea of them as judges too. That's definitely something they could do as well. Any other comments, questions you have about the All-Star game before we move on to the Twitter nonsense?
Yeah, no, let's get right into the Twitter nonsense that I was made aware of 5 minutes before starting this recording. So, Alex, take it away.
All right, so Kevin Durant, all-time great NBA player. He has been exposed for having burner accounts in the past, and he himself has said that he is very active on social media. But over the All-Star weekend, a burner account allegedly belonging to Kevin Durant. And I say allegedly, there's evidence that makes me about 99% certain it's Kevin Durant. He has not come out and said it's him yet. He, when asked about it, he said, and I quote, "I don't want to talk about this Twitter nonsense."
Which is what it is.
Neither confirming, it was neither confirming nor denying it. But in this leaks, there were multiple DMs from Kevin Durant trash talking both of his current teammates and his former teammates, trash talking all-time greats in the league, including but not limited to Steph Curry, Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, while at the same time praising Ben Simmons, calling him Kevin Durant calling Ben Simmons one of his favorite teammates. He trash talked his current teammates Jabari Smith Jr. and Alperen Sengun, which maybe not the greatest thing to do in the world, talking negatively about your current teammates. And it was probably the biggest off-the-court story. I don't know if this would have been a big of a story if there were games going on, but with All-Star break and the NBA taking a break, this has been all over my social media feed the last 2 days. And we talked about it a little before, but yeah, what do you do if you're Jabari Smith Jr. and Alperen Sengun, and you see, this idol of the game, this Jabari Smith Jr., he said himself that Kevin Durant is idol. What do you do if, this is the leader of your team and that's the way he's talking about you guys? How do you respond?
With maturity. I know not every person is mature in today's world. It's hard to be mature. And look, I would walk up to Kevin in practice and I'd show him, the DMs on my phone and be like, "Hey, was this you? Right? Did you really say this, or is this fake?" Right? And I think that conversation right there will tell you all you need to know. Right? If Kevin Durant wants to lie to you and say that wasn't him, well then, you don't know if he's lying, obviously, but if he wants to say, "No, that wasn't me," then I think you just take him at his word and you move on, right? But if he says, "Yes, that was me, and I would like to apologize for what I said on Twitter. I was, I hammered a few beers after the game, and I have a habit of saying dumb things on the internet." Right? I apologize, and let's move on. Because at the end of the day, Alex, they are teammates, yes, but they get paid, which makes them colleagues. And I feel like in any other work environment, it is not your job to be best friends with your work colleagues. And I think that if you look at it from that perspective, it is not Kevin Durant's job to like his teammates. Obviously, that helps, and obviously that's quite natural when you're with them every single day. You tend to get to know them, and you tend to like 90% of them, right? But in any other work setting, I would say you don't really get along with 90% of your coworkers. I feel like that is an unrealistic standard that you set, and things like this happen in any workplace, right? It's drama, it's gossip, it's Twitter nonsense, and so I would handle it like mature professionals that I hope they are. I think it's a little harder for guys like Devin Booker or Steph Curry who don't see Kevin Durant in practice every day to confront him about it. But I know those guys probably have his phone number, and I would shoot him a text with a picture, and I'd be like, "Hey, was this you? And, if this is how you feel about me, I apologize for whatever, and, I apologize if I made you feel like I was a shitty teammate, blah, 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 blah." Or if you don't care, like, and then there's other guys that don't care and that you don't bring it up to KD and it's whatever, right? Like, I don't want to hold it against KD because I understand, yes, they're teammates, but they're also colleagues. They're companions of work. And if Kevin Durant doesn't like the way Alperen Sengun plays defense, okay. I mean, what are we supposed to do about that? Like, that's his opinion. And if he wants to voice that opinion on a burner account, he has every right to do that. And if he gets called out on it, he needs to respond like a mature human being and own up to his actions, right? So until Kevin Durant, openly denies it and it ends up being him and he just lied to everyone, like, I really have no problem with this. And I think if you were a mature human being, depending on what he said about you, I think you would have no problem with it either, because I'm sure there are opinions Steph Curry has of Kevin Durant with the way their relationship ended that he just doesn't voice on Twitter, but I'm sure he has those. I mean, I know Draymond Green has his opinions about Kevin Durant that he has voiced very openly, and that's just life. Like, you're not getting along with everyone, and Kevin Durant's way to rant is through social media burner accounts. That's just kind of my thought on it. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I agree with you about the Steph and Devin Booker sides of that. I don't think it's necessarily as big of a deal for them. But I do think this is a big deal for the Houston Rockets team as a whole for a couple of reasons. There are going to be chemistry issues. And like you said, yes, they are colleagues, they're coworkers at the end of the day. But chemistry between an NBA team matters a lot more than chemistry between, say, selling merchandise for the Charlotte Checkers or serving food at Hickory Tavern. Right? The chemistry with your coworkers in those environments, it does not matter. You could be your favorite coworker or your least favorite coworker, and it doesn't matter. But on an NBA team, when the collaboration of the five guys on the floor is of the utmost importance, yeah, it's going to matter if there's a guy on the court that you don't like or a guy you have a personal vendetta against that is on your own team. And for a guy like Jabari Smith Jr., who has grown, like, okay, we can't say exactly what Kevin Durant said because this video will get taken down if we do. If you are curious to find his quotes, they're all over the internet. They're all over social media. You can find them there. But if I'm Jabari Smith Jr., somebody that has looked up to Kevin Durant since the day I found basketball, and we were talking about this a little before. You said there was a saying, never meet your heroes. It is absolutely true. If I'm Jabari Smith, my hero is Kevin Durant. I met him. I'm his teammate now. I could not be more excited. 6 months later, our team is kind of down in the dumps. We're a bit underperforming, I think it's safe to say. And then your idol, the guy that picked up that is supposed to help your team break through to the next level, is talking about you like this. Like, what? Like, Kevin Durant, let me remind you, this Houston team was the number 2 seed in the West without you here. They brought you in, and now they're falling down to the play-in conversation. Like, so to act like you are completely blameless in all this is kind of outlandish, because you definitely are to blame. And if you think that your teammates are to blame, that's completely fair. You know what Kobe Bryant did? He went up and confronted them to their face. He got in their grill. He made it known that whatever they were doing, whether it was a lack of effort, whether it was turnovers, whatever they were doing was unacceptable. That had to change. Kobe got in their face, and some guys wilted under that, and some guys thrived under that. And the guys that thrived are the guys that ended up, getting along with Kobe, becoming his teammates, becoming his friends. Kevin Durant is going around talking about guys behind their back. And I don't like that at all. If you have a problem with the guy, you go up and talk to him to his face. You don't bash him to a group chat of strangers on social media, only to be wishy-washy about it when it inevitably gets revealed to the public. Because you put something on the internet, it's there forever, and eventually it's going to get revealed. You can't put something on the internet that you're like, oh, I hope nobody sees this, because it is going to be seen. If you truly had an issue, you should have gone and said something to their face. You should have gone and told Jabari Parker, hey, these shots are your shot selection you're taking. It's awful. Change it. You should go up to Alperen Sengun. These late game turnovers you're having. We can't have that. Give me the ball instead. Instead, you go to your Twitter group chat and you start trash talking them there. Yeah, if I'm Jabari Smith Jr., if I'm Alperen Sengun, I am insulted. I feel disrespected, and I am angry. I'm very angry with this, truthfully. Like you said, if I'm Steph and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant's not in my life anymore, I don't really worry about it. I don't care. And from a fan perspective, you know what? I find this funny. I was laughing reading these things I said. But from the perspective of the Houston Rockets players who have to go in and see Kevin Durant the very next day and each day afterwards, I would be, incredibly frustrated. And maybe I would have taken it a bit more personally than I should have. But that's how I would have interpreted it.
Yeah, I think if I were to interpret it that way, I would need to make sure that it was him that really said those things. Because we're in an era now where I could have made AI make that tweet, right? Like, you can do so many things with AI and Photoshop and all that stuff. So I hear you, right? If he really did, if you go up to him, like I said, and show him the tweet, and you confirm he really said those things, or I'm with you, right? Like, hey man, if you think I'm turning the ball over, if you think my defense is really that bad, why don't you just tell me in the locker room? Why don't you hit me up at the bar?
It needed a lot more than basketball. It was personal attacks. It was curse words. It was it was personal. It was more than just basketball than what I was saying.
And for those texts, again, I haven't read everything that he allegedly said. Again, we don't even know if this is 100% Kevin Durant at the moment that we're having this discussion. So that would be the first thing is before I overreact, I would guarantee that it was him, right? And that's the first step I would take, because if you overreact and you are in practice and you yell at Kevin Durant, like if you go off on him, right, and it turns out that wasn't him, that was some asshat on the internet. So I would be like I said, if I be mature, right, like an adult, like professionals, have a one-on-one conversation. Again, you don't need to announce it with all the guys, right? Like have a conversation with Kevin, ask him if it was him, figure out what you need to figure out, and then move on, because I think both parties understand we're past the trade deadline. We're stuck with each other for the rest of the season, right? We are in contention for a championship this year. Like, if we play our best basketball, we can absolutely win the championship this year, right? Like, we are in the mix in the West. So we're stuck with each other the rest of the year. I think you need to get this conversation out of the way now, and so it doesn't linger. Interested to see. They play Charlotte tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how they perform as a team on the road in Charlotte. I know Kevin Durant said that they had a great day of practice today and that they're excited for the road trip. But again, that's all media-trained answers that he probably read off a teleprompter. So, but again, like, yeah, you could say that. But if you guys play and Jabari Smith takes 20 shots tonight and Kevin Durant takes 5, what does that tell you, right? If Alperen Sengun fouls out in one half because he's done playing with Kevin Durant, right? Like, what does that tell you? So I'm interested to see how the Rockets play tonight. I think they're going to be fine, because at the end of the day, they're adults. They get paid too much money to worry about what a guy says on the internet. And again, I would just implore maturity and patience in this story, because again, I had no idea about this until Alex brought it up to me 10 minutes before we recorded. So, and this apparently has been happening the last, what would you say, couple days? This story's been breaking out. Like, yeah. So, I mean, if it was a bigger deal than what it is now, I feel like I would have heard of it. And I hope that all parties can move on peacefully. And yeah, that's all I'll say about it, because there's really not much more to add at this point.
Yeah. Just last thing I'll say about it too is I am interested in the Charlotte-Houston game tonight to see whether that is talked about at all on air. Because, like I said, it's not a certain thing. It's still alleged, but there is enough evidence to where it's about a 99% certainty that it was Kevin Durant. So if it starts getting talked about on the air today, you can pretty much start calling it a certainty. So I'm interested to see if it's talked about by the professionals, by the commentators, and what they have to say about it, and how big of a deal they think it is. And if they don't talk about it at all, you're right. It probably isn't that big of a deal in the slightest. So something to keep an eye on in tonight's return to NBA action.
Yeah, I just think if this situation is handled poorly, I feel like it could get a lot worse. So I hope that Kevin Durant and his teammates are able to put it behind them, whether it is true or false. All right. So that'll do it with what Alex describes as the KD files, folks. The KD files. I'm sure we'll talk about it in the next episode, because I feel like we'll know a lot more the next time we record. And we're now going to get into closing time, which this is a kind of a throwback nostalgic blind ranking here, kind of to remind us of the glory days, of the dunk contest. So I have a blind ranking here of 5 individual dunks from dunk contests that took place in the last 20 years. And Alex, I can promise you that you have seen every one of these dunks. All right, so I didn't pull something from 2006 when you were 3 years old, right? And you've never heard of, Sean Marion's triple between the legs dunk, right? Like,
That would be pretty fire, though.
yeah, that'd be
happened.
like he jumped off a trampoline, did 3 between the legs, and then dunked it, right? Like that would be sick. But no, all right.
Trampoline though, I see guys do that at halftime shows. What are we talking
I know.
about here?
Hey, anything to spice up the dunk contest these days. So, are you ready?
True. Yeah, let's get it.
All right. First up, we have Aaron Gordon dunking over his mascot that was on the hoverboard from 2016 with the double, like under both legs.
Is the under the legs?
Yeah, under the legs.
Personally,
Yeah.
I think this is the single-handed greatest dunk in the history of the dunk contest. Slotted at 1. I have nothing else to say about that. That is my jaw. I could watch that today. My jaw will still be dropped. I could watch that a year from now, 10 years from now, hell, 50 years from now. My jaw will still be on the ground. It is the single most incredible dunk I have ever seen as an NBA fan, as a basketball fan.
Wow. Okay.
Mine blows my mind every time. Number 1.
All right.
Indisputably.
Next up, we have one from last year, actually, and that's Mac McClung dunking 2 basketballs at once from last year's dunk contest. I believe he jumped over a guy and caught a lob. He had one ball in his hand, jumped over a guy, I think, and then caught a lob for the second ball. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that is not the Mac McClung dunk I remember the most. And granted, he had a lot of good dunks across his 3 dunk contests. But the one I remember the most, he jumped over like 4 people and had like tomahawked it. That is the most memorable McClung dunk for me. So as a result, I'm gonna put this one at 5, just because you said all of these are iconic. And yes, I do know this one, but this isn't even the most iconic dunk this player has had. So I'm gonna put it in at 5. Save the middle of the board for these next.
All
3.
right, next up, one of my favorite dunks as a kid, Blake Griffin catching a lob from a dude in the sunroof, jumping over the Kia. That was one of the greatest dunks I remember watching as a kid. Just because I was like, oh my God, there's a car on the court. Like, I just thought to myself, like, oh my God, what is he doing with a car on the court? And then he caught a lob from a dude in the sunroof.
Now let me say, I am rating these on dunks. If I was rating this on performance and on spectacle, I would rate Blake Griffin's dunk a lot higher. But I think the dunk itself was pretty largely overrated. I'm gonna be real. I mean, this wasn't a minivan or an SUV. This was a 4-door coupe, right? We
Nobody can
jump over Taco Fall. Taco Fall towers over a car in terms of height. That is a lot more impressive.
Yeah,
than
but not in width. Not in width, though. Not in width. Think about how far he had to jump from.
Dude, the car is under the net. He is not having to jump over the car. He's jumping, dunking, hanging on the net, and swinging back down. You're going like this. He's not going like that. I think the spectacle was great. I mean, driving the car on the court, I Believe I Can Fly, blaring on the soundtrack. But the dunk itself is overrated. I'm going to put it at 4.
Okay. This is your ranking, so I'm not going to get into an argument, but you're saying that he's landing on the same side of the car that he originally jumped from.
I'm pretty sure, right? Or they moved the car, I think, while he was hanging on the net.
I'll have to double check.
The car.
I'm going to double check.
Maybe I'm remembering this wrong. I'll double check this after too, but
okay.
I don't think he full on cleared the car.
I remember it differently, but we will check afterwards and get back to you. So he's got Blake Griffin at 4. This leaves spots 2 and 3. Next up, we have Dwight Howard putting on the Superman cape and dunking
I'm very
from the free throw line. Absolutely. Performance 10, dunk 10. Like one of the greatest dunks in dunk contest history.
I'm very, very glad I ranked the Blake Griffin one at 4, because this one is definitely above, both in terms of spectacle and the dunk itself. I'm going to put it at 2. I do think, I am rating strictly on dunk talent, but, this is more than Michael Jordan dunking from the free throw line. This is a 7-foot, 280-pound man dunking from the free throw line. That is, first of all, terrifying. Second of all, awesome. And third of all, he's Superman. So put him at 2.
Yeah, I watched.
That was an incredible dunk.
I watched the video of it when I was making this list, and his teammate at the time, Jameer Nelson, came out, put the cape on him. The whole crowd stood up. They were like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Like, he ripped off his jersey and had a Superman shirt underneath his jersey, and then he hit it on the first attempt, and it was so awesome. The crowd went crazy. Like, that dunk is from 2008, Alex. That was 18 years ago. That dunk happened. Is that not insane?
Wow.
That
I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, exactly. Like 18 years ago, Dwight Howard put on the cape and was Superman. That is so crazy. All right, and then finally, Alex has to slot this final dunk at 3, which is a little heartbreaking for me because this, in my opinion, is the greatest dunk I've ever seen in a dunk contest, and that is Zach LaVine's between the legs dunk from the free throw line. A lot of people.
Okay, I would have put that at 2.
A lot of people, a lot of people thought Aaron Gordon got snubbed. But at the time, you know how impressive it was to do it between the legs from the free throw line? Like, we had never seen that before. And he did it on the first try, and it was insane. So that, to me, is... I just remember watching that live, thinking to myself, holy shit, he just did it between the legs from the free throw line on the first try. Like, when you say that out loud, it's like, how did he just do that? And I've seen people, like, and when it comes to Aaron Gordon, like, I've seen people jump over somebody before, right? Like, but at that time, at that moment in time, I had never ever seen anyone do a between the legs from the free throw line, and I was baffled at what I witnessed.
Two things I want to say. One, this blind rating could have just been 2016 dunk contest dunks,
True.
And it would have been just as tough.
True.
Because wow, the last great dunk contest we will ever see. Throw back to that. 2, we have seen guys jump over a guy before. We have not seen a guy clear a mascot on a hoverboard. His legs were over the mascot's head. This isn't him like teabagging the mascot. This isn't him like nut grazing the mascot. This is him getting his entire 6'8" frame over the mascot's head. You want to talk about things we have never seen before? That we have never seen before.
That is true.
Like, I cannot believe he did that. I could not believe that. I still can't, man. It still has me in awe every time. And Zach LaVine, I think he deserved the win. He had more 50 dunks. If the ratings could go above 50, Aaron Gordon would have won that because Aaron Gordon had, I think, better dunks. But Zach LaVine had more consistently great dunks.
Yeah, that was
my take on it. Aaron Gordon got robbed twice, but most entertaining dunk contest of all time.
In our lifetime, yeah. I'm sure. I know there's a lot of great dunk contests.
I say all time.
Before our time.
This is the only one that's gone to overtime. What other dunk contest has gone to a dunk off because the 2 finalists would only get 50s? Their 2 dunks in the finals, both 50s. We need a dunk off. That has never happened. Come on, man. That is different. That is different.
It was a one-of-a-kind event, and that was 10 years ago, which is just so crazy. That was 10 years ago. I know. When Zach LaVine was playing for the Timberwolves and Aaron Gordon was playing for the Magic. All right? So, yeah. So that'll wrap up this episode.
Zach LaVine is out for the year. Fun fact.
Yeah, hashtag tanking. Hashtag get well soon, but hashtag tanking. So that'll wrap up this episode of the Hoopers Lounge, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the All-Star Weekend. I thought it was a success it definitely exceeded my expectations. And so that is kind of how I'm marking it as a success. The KD files are to be continued, so stay tuned for that. Huge game tonight for the Rockets and Hornets. That should be a good one in Charlotte. And yeah, we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.
Peace.